I had a lot of motivation, a lot of drive, and a lot of it was just me changing who I was. Now how I stay motivated is I travel around the country and I speak to people, young kids, older people, black, white, from all different races, colors, genders, religions, everything. And my message is always about can't hurt me. Can't hurt me is just about staying true to who you are, staying real. There's so many people that do what I do who are inspirational speakers, motivational speakers, whatever. You put yourself out there like this to be the ultimate leader. People are trying to see what you're talking about and live off your example. What motivates me now, what keeps me going up every day is you all. People who listen to me, people who follow me, people who trust in me, people who want to be better. I have to live by example. So when it's miserable outside, when I don't want to study, when I don't want to do, even clean my house, make my bed, I will be a liar like I used to be if I'm telling you something that I'm not doing every single day of my life.
Growing up, my dad did a good job of dehumanizing me. He didn't care much how I thought or how I felt. So when I saw the military uniform when I was growing up, I thought to myself, if I can get that uniform on, I would find honor in wearing the uniform. So not only do I want to be in the military, I want to be in special ops. But I realized to be in special ops, you gotta know how to swim. So I got a how-to book on swimming. The first page was easy. Float. So I went to the pool, tried to float. I sank right down to the bottom. I realized I was negative buoyant as hell. The more I failed, the more my father's words would creep into my mind about how I'm not good enough. All this other he said to dehumanize me. As time went on, I started realizing the more I didn't quit, the more self-respect I gained. And the power was all mine. In life, it's important to do one thing. Many people will try to dehumanize you. It's up to you to find self-respect and dignity in yourself. You don't need a uniform to have honor. You need to have pride in yourself, dignity. Stay hard.
I want to be an Air Force pararescueman. And so I couldn't even swim. And in special operations, I didn't even know this. There's only 1% of African Americans in special operations, totality wise, as far as Navy SEALs, Army Rangers, Green Berets. My grandfather was in the military for about 30-some years. And I was obsessed with the military growing up, just obsessed with the uniform. And I knew that was my way out. The military, but I didn't know you had to actually be intelligent. I thought it was just about push-ups and sit-ups. So to be a pararescueman, they gave you this warning packet. It's a warning order. And after I passed the ASVAB test, they gave me this packet. It was like, okay, like a training packet. Push-ups, sit-ups, flutter kicks, all these different things. The very last page talked about swimming. I figured I'm a pretty good athlete. Swimming is easy. I'm negative buoyant. So why there's not a lot of African Americans in special ops? Because over 70% of African Americans are negative buoyant, which means they sink. And it's not due to muscle mass, it's due to bone density.
That's right.
So when I went to the pool, I tried to float. That's the first thing you have to do is learn, just learn to float. I sank like a lawn dart. I'm at the bottom of the pool, walking at the bottom of the pool. So this lifeguard came over and says, hey, I can help you out. I've taught thousands of people how to swim. He tries to help me out. I lawn dart the bottom of the pool again. And when I come back up, he says, man, you're screwed. That's when he started talking to me about negative buoyancy and stuff like that, how hard it is to stay above water. Sure. So I put the same work ethic into my learning as I did in the swimming. A few months later, I was swimming. And then I go off to pararescue school. So my whole thing was the military was my way to find self-esteem. I had to start building on something. And I started building on, education. Then I had to start learning how to find mental toughness. And this is where I started finding it was in the military.
I wake up every morning, I run every single morning, which is very uncomfortable for me. I would say a good 3 hours. because I stretch out every single day, and my stretch out routine is about 2.5 hours every night for the past 5.5 years. I had a lot of health issues. So I'll touch on that for a second, why I stretch out like that. I think it will help a lot of people listening to this. We have a muscle called the psoas muscle. It is PSOAS, psoas. Google it, learn about it. It may save your life one day. 6 years ago, I started experiencing a lot of health issues. I went from being able to run 205 miles at one time, do pull-up records, all this kind of stuff, to not being able to get out of bed. I had these large lumps on my hip flexors and on the back of my head. And slowly but surely, this psoas muscle attaches to your T12, your thoracic spine. And that muscle started getting so tight. And how it gets tight is basically by us sitting down, like I'm sitting down right now, and also by us being under stress. So from the time you're born until the time you die, you're under a lot of stress. My whole life has been stressed. From the time I was born to me going in the military, everything I've done has been stressful. That psoas muscle, as it tightens up, it starts to yank on your spine, starts to shut down different nerve endings, nerves going through your body, very important nerves going through your body, different things like that. And so, long story short, doctors couldn't figure out what was wrong with me. They kept on running tests. The test came back, you're not too bad, you're not too bad here, not to be feeling the way you feel. Went from running 205 miles to not being able to get out of bed. I talked to this stretch therapist a long time ago. He said, man, you are so tight. You have got to start stretching out, man. You are so tight. So I thought I was just dying. I thought I couldn't go to work anymore. I talk about it in my book also. Couldn't go to work anymore. And over a period of time, I said, you know what? I'm not going to give up. That's not what I do. So if I can't run, I can't go to the gym, I can't do anything. I started going to college, started doing that. And I also started stretching out. And the more I stretched out, the more these muscles in my hip flexors started opening up, and those lumps started going away. And I shaved my head almost every morning. And I had the same pattern, shave my head, and I go over that bump real delicate so I wouldn't cut my head. I started realizing that bump was shrinking. And I was on several different medications. And over a period of time, the medication wasn't working anymore, so I'd get off it. A few years later, now I'm only on one medication, and I'm soon to be coming off of that one, all from stretching out. So that's I hate it. Going back to your question, it's very miserable to stretch out for 2.5 hours a day. And it was a lot more than that when I first started stretching out, because I couldn't do anything else. And so that's my discipline of life. So I'm uncomfortable at least 3-4 hours a day, I would say. I am a wildland firefighter. So I go out 4 months a year, and I fight wildland firefighter. I'm a wildland firefighter. So I don't need to do it. I don't have to do it. I'm 43 years old. I've been through a lot in my life, but it is very, I believe in starting from scratch. So what that means is no matter where you're at in life, sometimes we get very comfortable. The worst thing that could ever happen to a human being is they become civilized. We forget on how we got to where we're at today. We forgot. A lot of us on this call make a lot of money, are very successful. But what got you there was that dog. Was that dog in you? Was that come hell or high water, I don't give a damn how cold it is outside, how miserable I am, how uncomfortable I become, I will get to where I'm at today. And we want to get further than that. But we start to say, how do we do it? How we get further than where we're at today is go back to the roots. Go back to the very root of how you got to where you're at. So why I'm a wildland firefighter today is, first of all, I love giving back. Second of all, it takes me back to the roots of hard work, dedication. You are underappreciated down there. I am, like one instance, we dug fire line, which is basically digging down to mineral soil for 3 miles. Imagine 18 to 24 inches for 3 miles. And there's 12 people digging 3 miles of that. And you have to cut down these trees that are in the way to continue digging. And then you lay fire hose for 3 miles. That's one evolution out of many. And you make $12 an hour. And once you get through digging, you sleep out in the dirt and you start digging some more. And I'll tell you one story it's all about staying humble in your mind. And there's this one kid who's out there digging line with me, digging fire line, and he wanted to buy a pair of shoes, a pair of running shoes. And he said the running shoes he wanted like 60, 70, 80 bucks. Not very much compared to what running shoes cost nowadays. And he looked up in the mountains, because we got through digging up in the mountains. And he said, for me to get these running shoes, it was going to take me 5 hours of digging fire line. He said, the shoes I have right now are okay. Because he didn't lose the fact, we lose the value of the dollar, the hard work it takes to get that. So these are some of the lessons I take from going back to where I started, going back to what made me David Goggins. What started callous in my mind was picking up that shovel, was picking up that axe, was grinding every single day. But what happens is you start getting those 5-star hotel rooms, flying first class, which is all good, we all earn it. But always go back. Like for me, I lived in a $7 a month place for a few years growing up. I call it my $7 a month mentality. I'm always paying rent in that $7 a month place. I'm always paying rent there. I'm always living there a little fraction of me. So that's kind of the mentality that we need to have to get better.
One of the keys to my success in life is I was able to see myself at the end of a very difficult task before I even started it. When I was 297, out of shape and afraid of water, I was able to see myself at graduation as a Navy SEAL. But as time went on, I kept on getting rolled back to day one. And every day got longer and longer. So what I had to do was I had to take this big chunk and make it small. So I became the master of the one day that I was living. We have to do that now. We don't know when the end is coming to this. So we got to master that one day. It may keep on getting pushed back day after day. If you master that day and want to be harder and stronger, you'll figure it out. Stay hard.
A lot of us out here are pushing real hard, but we're afraid to go to that dark side. In your mind, when you push real hard, you have this door in your mind. And a lot of us don't want to open that door. Once you open that door, you're in a tunnel. It's a dark ass tunnel. And you can't see. But there's one thing about being in dark places. If you have the courage to stay in there long enough, your eyes will start to adjust to the darkness. Your body and mind will always adjust to more suffering, to more pain. If you want to push harder, know this. Your mind quits way before your body does. So you have to be willing to go way into that darkness and find more of yourself. Stay hard.